Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. Here with another Velocity Banking review. And before we get started, I'm just going to quickly review this Bruce Lee quote. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. And one of the ways that you can just kind of stand out from society is just be the person who does one kick 10,000 times. You ever notice that the vast majority of people are just spread thin and they just kind of try to do everything at once? It's like the difference between In-N-Out and McDonald's. Like you ever notice that when you go to McDonald's, they try to like serve you everything and they have like 10,000 items on the menu. Whereas In-N-Out, they only got one item on the menu. If you've never been to In-N-Out, because I don't think it's in the it's not everywhere in the US. It's in mainly it's a California staple, and I think it's in Nevada, Utah, Idaho, and I believe Tennessee because they moved the In-N-Out headquarters to Tennessee, and then they kept the original headquarters in Baldwin Park, California as well for optics reasons. But it's very obvious why they moved out of California. But if you kind of take a look at this menu right here, double double cheeseburger hamburger, that these are all variations of of one thing, the hamburger, right? Only difference is number of patties and number of cheeses. But you look at a McDonald's menu, it's like what am I even looking at, right? You got 10,000 kicks, and they never get your order right. And it's been a long time since I've eaten at McDonald's, but yeah, take a look at this beast, right? Like look how much stuff there is. Gross. Look at that, McDuck. You got all this stuff. You're trying to do 10,000 kicks once, and that's why they never get your order right, right? Or they make you like if you do order, they make you come up to the window and then park in the side lot so that their metrics look good for corporate. Cuz look at this, 10,000 kicks and they never get it right. So be like In-N-Out, don't be like McDonald's, folks. And I will probably never eat at McDonald's again. Well, I'll say I'll never eat at McDonald's again. It's been more than 10 years, I think. But man, I'm a little tempted by In-N-Out, even though it's been a long time since I've eaten In-N-Out too. And if you take a look at this channel, right, make the same video over and over again. We're over 1,000 videos, right? Let me zoom up here, 1,000 videos, and that's how you get good. A lot of people are like, "Whoa, you're so fast with the velocity banking spreadsheets." It's like, well, it takes me 15 to 30 minutes to record a video. So, think about if I weren't like doing it so fast, it'd take me like 3 hours for one video, which I'm not going to do. Crank out a video in 15, 30 minutes and just do it over and over again. And I become the velocity banking spreadsheet master, right? So let's go ahead and get started, and don't resent doing the same thing over and over again, right? People are like, you just make the same video over and over again. I was like, yeah, that's why I'm so good at this. You know, people complain about the thing that actually helps you grow, right? The people That's what they always do. And you'll notice this all the time. Here's the thing, right? You ever notice that like if you pass by, like, let's say, a homeless person, you don't really have the urge to kind of like attack the person, you know what I mean? Like, but you notice that like when you're successful and then when you're doing well in life, that a lot of people will have the urge to attack you. It's because people only wanna attack others when they're doing better than them. This is why when you pass by a homeless person, and I get there's some exceptions, right? You don't have the urge to attack the homeless person because you know you're better than them, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, the only thing that makes it suck is maybe if they smell a lot, and if you ever live in the city of Los Angeles, man, they got some really stinky homeless people. Really stinky homeless people. Anyways, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. Velocity banking, what is it? It's a debt payoff strategy. So if you let's hide this column. If you take a look at this, you have income, you have expenses, and then you have your leftover savings. And then if you do an expense breakdown, you have every single debt that here, and you notice that because you have so much debt, along with your personal expenses, you're negative money in the hole, right? Negative $98. Now, if you ask the average person, hey, um, if you're negative $98 in the hole and you're making great money, because $12,000 a month is great money. Let's not sugarcoat it. you ask them, do you need to make more money? A lot of people will say, yeah, we definitely need to make more money. And that's why people are always trying to like do things like get more shifts, and not relax. Like a lot of people think, it's just work and the how do I phrase this? The amount, like, work is a linear relationship to output, but it's not, right? Sometimes it's not just about how much you work, but it's how effective you are in, let's say, controlling the amount of money that you make. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But basically, redirecting the flow of money can make you a lot more effective, even with the same income. Okay. So, first step to velocity banking is creating a budget, because your budget is your debt attack plan. And then you have to list every single debt here. Okay. Every single debt here, because we're going to get rid of the debt. And then in the last row, it's going to be your non debt expenses, right? So you notice that the debt is in black font and the non debt is in red font. We're always going to have to pay this no matter what. And then we just kind of put a general number. So this person is paying for general expenses, including housing, about 4,200. Right. Now, I think that's a good figure. Okay. But on top of these expenses, like, you got all this debt, right? All this debt. And so, a lot of times people have this difficulty understanding like how this happens, right? Because they think, oh, you just make a lot of money and then life gets easier. It's actually not, right? You have to understand money is just a tool. Like if you're given a sword but you're not learned how to train in it, like then the sword is good as useless. Same as money. That's why a lot of people, when they win the lottery, they become broke, because they don't know how to manage and use that money, right? People, a lot of people complain like, oh, rich people, like, oh, they just got a lot of money or they inherited it. And so life was easy for them. If you ever get to that point where you have a lot of money, you'll realize there is some skill involved in managing the finances. Now, it's not like super hard like power weightlifting or anything like that, but there is some focus that you need to do. But for some reason, I don't know why it is. It's like people become ashamed that they need to learn how to, learn the basics of finance, even though it was never taught to them in like K to 12, college, work. Like nobody ever taught them that. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, why would you be ashamed that you have to learn something and possibly practice something that you were never taught in the beginning, right? Like I think that to me that's so bizarre. But a lot of people are like that. Like why would you, it's like nobody taught you, yet you act like you're supposed to know it? That's ridiculous. In fact, I should ask ChatGPT this, but with the new ChatGPT 5 model, it doesn't suck up to me like it used to. Like I used to use it as like the Snow White Queen's mirror, mirror on the wall. Tell me what I want to hear. I was like, oh, I'm so, it's like, and then ChatGPT would tell me how pretty I am. And no, I'm just kidding. But yes, ChatGPT 5 does kind of suck. But all right, let's go ahead and get started. So with the velocity banking. So velocity banking does not require more income. It just requires you to redirect the flow of your income. So what we're gonna do is copy and paste the income and then copy and paste the expenses, and then we're not gonna save money. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to increase this thing called cash flow. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, this savings and cash flow thing isn't it kind of the same thing? It's kind of the same number, right? Well, we haven't fully increase this number yet, but when you kind of start, it looks like that and from the beginning. But here's the kicker, right? Here's the main thing we have to understand is that we're not going to save money, right? So if you take a look at my checking account or screenshot of my checking account, you see how this is like $0 right here. Money comes in and then it just goes right out. So that's like the first thing we have to remember, because what does traditional banking tell us? Traditional banking tells us, oh, you get paid and then pay your bills, right, including your debts, and then try to have some savings, right? And that's not what we're going to do. We're going to use our money to constantly attack debt using something called a line of credit. So again, a lot of people, let's say they had 19 grand coming in, and just casually throwing 19 grand like it's so easy, but it depends, right? But they have money coming in, And then once they have the money coming in, they feel like they need to save it, right? So it's like, what's the role of your checking account or checking or savings? Is it to store money, right? Or is it just to kind of temporarily receive money and then almost kind of like a hot potato, right? Throw it somewhere else. Like your checking account kind of needs to be like a hot potato. Okay. It's not there just to kind of store money. Okay. So that's really the difference between velocity banking is that velocity banking treats money in a checking account like a hot potato. You get paid and then you throw it out, right? As soon as possible. So what we're going to do is move that money into something called a line of credit. So what's a line of credit? Well, basically, it's just a financial tool that you probably already have because you probably have a credit card where it could use the money, pay back, and then use it over and over again, right? So, like this home equity line of credit for $373,500 here, um, I can dump up to $373,500 into my checking account with a button, just a click of a button, right? Just a click of a button. And so they charged me an 8.5% interest rate, and you could use it to pay anything. That's the cool part. Like I didn't know that you could borrow money easily from a bank and it used to pay like student loans, auto loans, what else? Credit cards. But then you can't use a credit card to do that, right? So credit cards have their own uses, but the flexibility part is not their strength, right? Because very hard to pay. The only way you can pay one credit card with another is through a balance transfer, and you also can't pay the credit card's bill with a credit card. But then you can do that with a line of credit. It's crazy, okay? Like if you owe $50 from a line of credit and you don't have any money coming in, just pull that 50 from a line of credit, and then basically you'll understand the power of compounding interest for the bank if you don't have any money coming in. But the cool thing is you could still pay the bill uh, with um, with the line of credit, its own bill, right? So let me go ahead and then just take a look here. No, not here. Here. Okay. So let me just go ahead and take a look here because this is all the lines of credit that I have. $731,540. And yeah. I don't even know what to say. I asked ChatGPT because I was like, what percentage does this put me in? Top 0.1%. That's what ChatGPT said. So I'm not even 1% when it comes to credit. I'm top 0.01%. And there are people who beat me. You ever watch the channel Credit Plug? I think Credit Plug is like probably more than $2 million in lines of credit, right? So eventually I will get there, but the fact that I beat 99.99% of people, I guess that's good enough. So I'm not like in a rush to get like, $1 million or $2 million lines of credit. Good enough is good enough. Plus I'm a lazy person. I'm very lazy. But I just kind of got this over time, maybe like over a couple of years. And here's a secret that to getting all these lines of credit is that banks don't lend money to people who need it. A lot of people think that I'm hiding stuff from them, and I'm not, because a lot of your success with money comes to the attitude, right? And the biggest problem that a lot of people have is they always try to get money when they need it. And so how did I get all these lines of credit? I just got it when I did not need it, right? Went to a bank, went to the bank's website. Oh, I don't need money. I don't need money. I don't need money. All these lines of credit is just accumulation of times when I just did not need money. I went to a bank because banks don't lend money to people who need it, right? They don't. And you ever notice that I have all these credit cards because my income is so high? Banks don't like low income people. This is why when you have great credit and low income, no one's going to give you a line of credit, right? Because you're a high risk. It's a risk management institution. But what if we had a line of credit, right? Could this have been a lifesaver if we had learned this strategy before we ever got here? But a lot of people don't want to hear that because the way that most people's mentality works when it comes to finances is I'm going to crash the car and then learn how to drive. I don't know why most people's brains work like that because it's like you try to tell people like, hey, and again, this is the same um thing that Dave Ramsey experiences, but because he has a much more popular show than I do. A lot of people kind of resent Dave for saying, "Hey, do it right from the beginning." Now, obviously, there's different methodologies, but Dave Ramsey's right. Like, I'm not gonna, you will never hear me say on this channel, Dave Ramsey is wrong. Like, everything he says is right. Now, obviously, there's different contexts to how you can apply his knowledge, but when he says like, "Hey, don't get all that credit or borrow money," I actually think he's right. But what I'm going to show you is that, if you're a little not as risk averse as Dave, right? So maybe you do borrow money, but if you want to borrow money, borrow it right. Okay. All right. So let's assume we have a free and clear line of credit. Now, will the bank give you a free and clear line of credit at this stage? No, they won't, because you need money, right? With this income, there was once upon a time you didn't need money, but then the bank sent you these letters, and then the main draw of any debt is, hey, low payments over time, right? Look at this, you're borrowing, let's see, $30,000, and the max payment is $1,000 over time, right? So that's how they get you. The product, I don't know if this really applies, but the product does kind of sell itself because people love low payments over time. That's why Klarna and the other one, all those afterpays are so popular, because it's low payments over time. But then once you have too many low payments over time, man, that's when they got you. That's when they, got you by the balls. That's George Carlin saying. All right. But why do we assume we have a free and clear line of credit? Because let's say you'd known this strategy, like, you would have never been here. This would have been your lifesaver. And a lot of times when people do have a HELOC or a personal line of credit, they just treat it like another credit card and it's maxed out, right? And what's the difference between average American banking and velocity banking is, what's your main operating account, right? Are you treating your checking account money like a hot potato? Are you? Right? So what we're going to do is treat our checking account money like a hot potato, and we're not going to save it. And then we're going to move some debt into the line of credit. Okay, move it into the line of credit, and we'll assume we have a $200,000 limit. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, right? I know what some of you are thinking. You're like, 200,000, that's so unrealistic. Yeah, maybe for you, right? Yeah, last month I got a $20,000 personal line of credit. So here's the thing I always say on this channel. Whatever I do is totally not realistic, because if we were totally realistic, ChatGPT wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm the top 1%, 0.01%," right? So, realistic and doable are two different things, right? Like when I paid off my mortgage in 2 years and 9 months, and here it comes. Here it comes. It's just another opportunity for me to flex and boost my ego. When I paid off my mortgage in 2 years and 9 months, I wasn't telling other people, "Oh, you can do this too." Because if you could do this too, then the average mortgage payoff would be 2 years and 9 months. But it's not. Okay? ChatGPT wouldn't say, "Oh, you're in the top 1%." But I am the top 1%. So therefore, whatever I do is quite unrealistic. See how that works? But yes, I did pay off a mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. You see 0, 0, lien position 1. Yeah, I did it. And I'm kind of getting, sick and tired and yawning when I talk about 2 years and 9 months mortgage payoff, and a little bit of flexing and bragging at the same time. No, I'm just kidding. But it's funny, I just like talking about it because I just say it so casually, and it's like, man, I can't relate to anybody. I can't relate to anybody, which is what's going to happen when you're kind of doing well in a society where struggle is the norm. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And this is going to be 10 credit cards, right? 10 credit cards. So what we're going to do is start off with the 10 credit cards. And by the way, how do we know which loans and debts to pay off or move into the line of credit? Use something called a cash flow index, right? So you see that you have all these numbers here. And basically what you do is you rank them, or this cash flow index is basically the balance divided by the payment, gives you a number. And you can kind of think of this as a debt payoff order system, right? So what you do is you take the lowest numbers and move it into the line of credit, and then we're going to leave these numbers here and pay them off for later. So anything like 20s and 30s, all right, let's go ahead and pay off, right? And then what we do, and I think this is 164,000. So 5, 8, 15, 27, 30, 7, 10, 35, 12, 15. I'm going to go ahead and sum it up, which is $164,000 of debt. So 164,000. So once we move $164,000 of credit card debt, this is the most clickbaitiest part that will shock anybody seeing it for the first time. And then this is what they're going to do. They're going to have something called the velocity banking poker face, meaning they understand what you're saying is right, but they can't process it, right? Because what happens is that this negative $98 with the same income will turn into $5,012. Yeah, same income, shuffle some expenses. How does this magically turn to $5,000? And it's funny because every time I used to show this to people, I only show online now just because it's much easier to do it online than like do it in person. Because I get disappointed when I show this in person and people just kind of walk away and act like they didn't see it, which is sad, right? But going from negative $98 to $5,012.80, um, with the same income, can show you how much of an inefficient, if in a financial inefficient way that the average American banking is. Whereas when you do it this way, then it's just like it's so easy, right? Like it is the easiest way to pay off debt, in my opinion. Okay. So $5,012.80. And again, all these payments went to zero just because we transferred that money into the line of credit or transferred the debt. I'm sorry. We didn't get rid of it because the debt's still here. And then the final step is you're going to put your entire paycheck, the 12 grand, into the line, essentially an overpayment. But the beauty of this is does two things. Number one, it satisfies the minimum monthly payment, right? That 12 grand, if the minimum monthly payment of $164,000 is like, I don't know, maybe 1,600 or something like that. When you put 12 grand in, that minimum monthly payment is satisfied. Number two, the interest that accrues is based on the average daily balance. So when you put all that money in, then it will lower the average daily balance, right? So so let's go ahead and do this. And these formulas are very easy. So to get the next month's balance based on the previous month's balance, previous month's interest, minus the cash flow, which is 5012.8. And then what we do is we take the average daily balance, right, multiply it by the interest rate, 0.075, and then you got to divide by 12 because when they quote you interest rates, it's always annually, and then when they actually calculate the interest, it's monthly, and they divide by the number of either days in the month or just 12. Depends on your lender. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Bam, 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 bam. How we go from like, you know, 164 to 130 to, look how easy this is. Yeah, it's super easy. All right, so let's go ahead and do this right here. So we see that in 37 months, this was all paid off. And all right, so let's record our milestone, which is 37 months. And then that's 164K. Okay. So, I don't know why people fear credit card debt so much, right? Credit card debt, easy. 30, we started at negative $98 and then we took care of it in 37 months. So a little bit more than 3 years. And then we have three loans here: auto, student, and mortgage. Now, if we were going to really be strategic about this, I'm pretty sure there's ways to not have such a huge student loan bill, right? Community college, med school abroad. I wonder if they have cheap med schools here within the United States. I remember a long time ago, I saw a documentary on Netflix back when Netflix was like a new thing. But I remember like they had these documentaries about people trying to pass the bar, and there was one dude who like failed the bar. I don't know how many times. I'll say like 7 times or 12 or whatever. And then I think he went to a free law school in Los Angeles, if I recall correctly, or someone did. Someone went to a free law school in Los Angeles. And they just kept failing the bar. I know I'm not saying that the law school is bad. I'm just saying that's what the documentary had, I think, but it's been a long time since I watched it. And I used to really love Netflix back in the day because it was so um I feel like there was so many good documentaries, health documentaries, documentaries about niche things, and then now it's like everything is kind of like super how do you say it? Like super grotesque because they have to capture your attention. And I don't think people understand this about media. The whole point of media is to capture your attention. This is why the news always like talks about bad news. Do you think the news will ever talk about good news? No, because good news doesn't get ratings. Although it feels like a opener to for someone to join someone's cult. And what I mean by that, maybe I knock on your door and say, "Hey, have you heard the good news about velocity banking?" And then maybe you join my Velocity Banking code. Click the Google form link below. All right, so let's go ahead and pay off these uh, amortized loans, and we have this loan calculator right here. And let me just do this. You just type in the current month, right? And then it tells you what the current balance is. So again, use the cash flow index. What does it mean? How much bang do you get for your buck when you pay off the debt? So $8,000, get $400 of cash flow, pay off 280, get 1,200, right? Like, would you pay someone $280,000 to give you $1,200 a month back in your cash flow? Probably not. That's why this number is so high, right? But you get more bang for your buck here. So let's move this 8,000 into that line of credit. And then what we're going to do is just move this right here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move this right here. So this is going to be plus 8890.53. And then this is going to be 0. And then it's going to be 5,400 in cash flow. Okay. 413.02. Bam, bam. And then, all right, so what's the next debt? The next debt, so this is going to be, I believe, 39 months. Let's just quickly check. Yeah, 39 months. So that's going to be 164 plus 22. See? 186K. And then at 39 months, 39. 149 grand left in the student loan. Let's move it into the line of credit. So plus 149,561.72. All right, so this is going to be 0, and then now our cash flow is $7,000. And then let's go ahead and do this right here. So put our new cash flow there. Minus 7735.19. Whoopsie, what did I do? Uh-oh. All right. So we see that in 60 months, we paid it off, right? So 60 months, and then be 386K. And then here, the mortgage, 60 months. So we see this right here. So month 60. Whoa, 266,719. All right. So did I get this right? So luckily we had this velocity banking calculator to what's it called? To help us determine what the debt payoff is. And it's 2.6 years, and we pay only 11 grand of interest throughout the life of when we start to focus on paying off the loan. Not the entire life of the loan, because if you take a look here, we've already paid about 42 grand of interest, right? But once we start focusing on paying off the loan, then we're good. And the cool thing is, let's say you want to even use a 30% credit card. Take a look at this, 7.5%, and then 30% is it's a difference about 5 grand, right? So a lot of times people freak out about, whoa, this line of credit interest rate is higher than the 3% loan. And that is true, right? Right. Like the lower the rate, the better it is, but you can still use the line of credit, or you can just pay directly into the loan, right? I'm not going to talk about segregation of income here because I'm actually quite sleepy. But my point is this, that you can still use a 7.5% line of credit to pay it off. You could, even at 3%, right? So let's go ahead and do this right here. So it's just going to be 2.6 years. And I'm going to do this. So 60 divided by 12.2.6. And then we are debt free, not dent free, not Harvey Dent. 7.6 years. And we are debt free, debt free. All right. Well, that's it for today, folks. This is a Korean Atlanta mentorship. If you want to know the secret code to comment on the comment box below, let me know that you watched to the end of the video. Just type in, I practice my 10,000 kicks. Okay. I practice my 10,000 kicks. No, I'm sorry. No, that's not right. I always get it mixed up because it's so confusing. No, don't say that. Don't say that. I practice my one kick 10,000 times. That's what you got to say. I practice my one kick 10,000 times. Write that in the comment box below. Let me know that that's how you let me know you watched to the end of this video. And you see, now I've realized that I have to practice this quote 10,000 times because I always get it mixed up, right? Okay. All right, folks. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video.